Hope everybody's been having a really good summer so far. Well, we're still in the spring. But yeah, definitely want to say thank you again all for giving us a listen to Jim Boys Watch Footy. And we are growing a little bit all over all of our channels. Our Spotify, our Apple Podcasts, our YouTube channel are all growing. It's all thanks to you all. Instagram is starting to get a little bit of love too. So super happy about how everything's progressing, guys. We got PJ, we got TC. How you guys doing today?
Maxing, relaxing, income taxing.
Love it, love it. Well, yeah, gents, let's jump right in. Over the past weekend, we were able to see some really good international football. We had the UEFA Nations League Final that just passed. We had Portugal versus Spain, and it was a very thrilling match. It went down to penalties, and uh, we saw some amazing football from both a 40-year-old as well as a 19-year-old. Lamine Yamal and Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano was able to score in this match. It's kind of crazy to see him still scoring after the age of 40. And then you had a lot of good things going on between Spain and Portugal, but ultimately Portugal were able to win their third international trophy before Cristiano was there. They had never won any international trophies, and now they have three. So TC, we'd love to start with you. What do you think about this UEFA Nations League win going into the FIFA World Cup next year?
Look, I think what it has done is made international friendlies no longer just friendlies. There's something to play for, which I think for the consumer and watcher of football, definitely great spectacle. What we saw was a great game as opposed to the usual kind of sticky final we saw. We saw a bit of a nice kind of, I think, a lot of headlines written into that. Obviously, the headlines previously going into the game were against the new versus the old outgoing and Ronaldo and Lamine, who's 17. Versus, and what we saw in the game, unfortunately, I think what we saw was both teams that were prepared for the other team's attacking points. So Lamine was very heavily guarded. Nico Williams, on what that did lean for was a good aspect of Nico Williams to have a lot of territory and space on the left-hand side, in which we saw him exploit that. I think what we saw was a great game of back and forth, great for the spectacle, which culminated in the full parade of options from extra time to penalties. Not the biggest fan of penalties, but it does end in a very nice way because it does have you biting your nails, biting them, seeing who's going to do what. And you watch the tactical, strategic substitutes as they happen just before the end to see who's going to do some of the penalties, and you start to think. I always knew. I had a feeling that once it got to penalties that Portugal might be a bit more technical. Now, looking at some of the highlights on some of the different and some of the players that stood out for both sides for me, Nico Williams absolutely. From Portugal, I can't keep raving about this kid. Like you said, Vitinha, Nuno Mendes on the left back.
So good.
He's just like that PSG makeup. We've been saying it. Just got technical, skillful, beautiful players. I think what I loved about the Spanish side, full of youthful exuberance, we're starting to get some more of that experience. Pedri just playing like a freaking Ferrari every time he gets on the field. Honestly, watch that kid every time he plays football, and Thierry Henry said the same thing. It's like watching a Ferrari. I don't think people know how much of a football IQ this guy is. He's great to watch. I think it's very cool to see like development of these squads that's got very, very, like I said, a nice youthful exuberance running through them, and then a bit of experience in there. With on Portugal's side, obviously we have the talisman Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
I think the headline there is obviously he scored. Now his goal controversial to me because I would have called a foul based on what I saw in real time.
He was just doing a rip swim move across Cucurella's back. Got in a really great position. Like they were both looking at the ball. Cucurella wasn't really determining or dictating any type of play. I kind of want to see where your head is, why you would call that a foul.
So in all fairness, and it's dark arts. It's very skillful dark arts. That's what it is. And I'm glad you called that, Eric, because what you saw with your vision there is saying it was fine, it's cool. I saw as a defender and as a striker as well, I saw a bit of defending where you're like, I was standing there, that was my position, and then you used your hands to push, and then you got into that position. I understand I love Ronaldo. I would have given that a foul technically, but you have to be in the right place to make that happen, and it doesn't get called. Boom, great call. He's 40 years old. That's me for a wrap.
Okay. I mean, I'm not. It was a very different type of match to watch. Like I was not expecting Nuno Mendes like to continue that form like he's had all season. He completely blanked Lamine Yamal on that right hand side. Nico
Oh,
Williams had to step up. Nico Williams had to step up on the left, and you got to see as to why the Spanish are so touted for the next FIFA World Cup coming up. Like
mhm.
they, even if one side is completely shut down, they have a
Oh,
solid
absolutely.
plan 1A, 1B. Like you can go to either of those wings and be able to dictate play however you like. Like you said with Pedri, amazing Rolls Royce in the midfield. Zubamendi, hopefully soon to be Arsenal player. Zubamendi was able to score his goal, and then as well, I mean, Spanish defense might need a little bit of tweaking. I want to see how their manager kind of changes things up because um, their backs were they were not doing well against the Portuguese press. So yeah, it was a lot of great things to see. I heard your point about like international tournaments actually meaning a lot more now. These trophies are meaning a lot more, especially because you don't get that much time to play with your international squad. So yeah,
Mhm.
it was really cool to see. You got to see the energy. You got to see a lot of emotion really spilled out on the pitch. So yeah, it was a really dope final to watch. Two teams that are going to be really strong going into the FIFA World Cup. Peach, you got
So,
anything for us there? Oh wait, TC, let's go.
and last thing, Peach, before I'd apologize, I think you hit the nail on the head there towards the end there, and I think this will lead greatly into Peach's point, is the emotion. The emotion of that game. I think anyone who watched towards the celebration, obviously winning a trophy, and I think for me it was kind of looking at players that I resonate with, kind of like it is kind of like, we had a shitty season, great, but a trophy's a trophy.
Yeah,
Whatever you play, you want to win. Whether it's a
yeah,
swim race with your friends who talk shit, or it's like a little five-a-side football game. You want to win it because that's the competitive nature of athletes. I think what you saw from Ronaldo was just this overpowering of emotion, of just gratefulness to be one like you guys and everyone keeps mentioning, being 40 years old and still being able to play, being on the highest stage, and then winning something with your country and mates. Something that means something so much, as you can see, which I think would lead greatly into kind of the discussions for the next one, Peach.
yeah.
Well, that was my question. If you guys thought that that was a foul, I think that was the main thing, and I was like pretty borderline. If that's not Ronaldo, maybe that is called. But I mean, I'm not a Ronaldo stan like TC is, but I am rooting for him because when I go out and play basketball, I'm like, oh, Ronaldo's older than me. I can still play. But I mean, it was just great to see him doing his thing. I mean, we're talking about a 23-year age gap between him and Lamal.
Yeah.
Going big picture, with Portugal, they've done great in Europe. I think this is their second Nations League. They won the Euros 9 years ago, so they've done pretty well in European competition. The question is with them, will Ronaldo be there next year for one final shot? I think he will be. Whether it's good for the team or not, we will see. And with Spain, I think they're going to be disappointed, but because they have some great young talent like Lamal, I think they're looking towards the future and get back to glory because they had one of the best teams ever in 2010 and haven't really been back to that level of dominance since then. So it'll be really interesting to see how these teams show up next year with Spain kind of going like this and Ronaldo's last hurrah.
Yeah, I mean, Roberto Martinez, the manager for the Portuguese national team, he cannot continue to play Ronaldo 80 minutes. I mean, I love that he can still do it, but he was exhausted. You could see he was injured at the end of that match. Like,
That was in extra time, but yeah.
yeah, but even still, I just don't think you can continue to do that going into the World Cup because this is going to be the largest field ever. Means more matches, and you want to make sure that you keep your best horses ready for like the biggest parts of the game. So I think he should start more on the bench, probably within the World Cup run. Let him come on, and be able to dictate from the 50th minute on or the 60th minute on. I understand like sometimes you just got to protect the players from themselves. That's my only point in this whole thing. And then my last point is going to be Frank Ribery. You wanker. You went to go for a hate watch against Portugal. You've been talking within the media about how You got screwed out of the Ballon d'Or 13, 14 years ago, where you were going up against Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. You ended up third, and as soon as Ronaldo scored, I love how the camera panned over to Ribéry's box and all of the Portuguese fans that were there. They've been listening to all of your mess, and they just completely let you have it. Let it so much that you had to leave the stadium because you couldn't hate watch anymore. So that I got to give a big shout out for that hate watch gone awry from the Portuguese fans. So gotta love that one.
I think, yeah. And just Eric, sorry, just going back to one of the points you mentioned with man management and Ronaldo. I think as we get on, and we all mentioned, I think what you'll look at is any good coach will look at the opposition and be like, who are we playing, and what is the league of games. PJ mentioned it, which I think was great, is that both of these teams have an eye on the future, right? This was the intent, was to see what works, what doesn't. Yes, the Nations League is important, but it's to see what works for an eye on the future in the World Cup. And I think with Ronaldo, absolutely, what he was just showing and what he keeps showing is that he is capable of scoring goals. Is there anyone else who has been scoring goals? And I think what you look at is, depending on what games you have and who the opposition is, you might have him play 50, 60 minutes. You might have him play, because if it is his next hurrah, I can tell you the boy's going to be in the best of best shape ever.
Oh, for sure.
You're going to make Rambo look like the Pillsbury Doughboy. Yeah. So essentially, what I think you might have is you might have strategic placement, like you said, of how you manage that. So he might come off the bench, but I can guarantee you this: if the man is in top shape and scoring goals, he's going to start. He's going to start at least. But I think you're right. I think he's definitely at the end of his career. Let's be honest. But he's got the body of a 32-year-old. Let's be honest. I don't know if you saw the jump on this last issue. He did a jump that was very highly publicized against Mohamed, whatever his name is, who's I think 6'6", something like 6'3" or 4 or something. Anyway, he's like 4 inches taller than Ronaldo, and Ronaldo's jump was like he'd been doing box jumps his whole life. And at 40, he's still out jumping. So it's not about age. People going back to age. But with technology, with preparation, with good diet, what you are seeing is a specimen who is prolonging that. And why not? Like, we're assuming that there is a natural decay of speed, yes. Perhaps in cognitive speed, slightly, you know. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, where the position he's playing, he's not playing in Vitinha's position, for instance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, he started off as a winger. He moved up front to score a bunch more goals, and we're seeing the fruits of his labor. Like, I'm loving the fact that he's him, like LeBron James. Their bodies they're treating them as a temple, and they're moving forward and crushing it still, showing like a whole generation, like, you can do this for as long as possible.
Exactly.
You still be doing exactly what you need to do. You just have to make it is what it is. And if what it is your sport, be it basketball, like LeBron James, football, American football, like Tom Brady, or football on the pitch with Cristiano Ronaldo, you can do it. So, yeah, that was a really good point wrapped up. All right, let's go. We got the U.S. men's national team. This is where we got to let in our resident U.S. men's national team correspondent, PJ, kind of take the reins here. But just to set it up, the U.S. Lost to Turkey. They lost 2-1. Jack McGlynn was able to score in the first minute of the match. And then suddenly it just kind of went all downhill from there. Arda a big wonderkin from Real Madrid. He's around 17, 18 right now for the Turkish national team. And he scored in the 24th minute and then right after that, Karim Ertuğrul, within the 27th minute, was able to pounce on a really bad mistake in the back. And U.S. men's national team was not able to come back from that. This is Mauricio Pochettino's his third loss in a row. And that is saying something with U.S. men's national team. We have the Gold Cup coming up. So I have to throw it over to you. PJ, what's going on with the squad?
Look, you guys are going to think I'm going to make excuses, and guess what? You're right. Obviously you want to get the dub, but at the end of the day, we're preparing for the future. And when you look at this team, there is probably one locked-in starter in that lineup, so we can't overlook the results of a friendly. There was The Gold Cup, which is coming up, is kind of a weird tournament if you don't really follow it, which I'm pretty sure no one outside of CONCACAF does. Yeah. It's not a tournament the U.S. normally sends their A team. They didn't do it in 2023. They didn't do it in 2021. This year, people were pissed because the World Cup is next year. But in 2023, we brought a C team. In 2021, we brought a C team. So this was a better version of the team. So it's not unusual that Christian Pulisic wasn't there. Then there was a lot of random stuff happening this summer, like the Club World Cup. Mm-hmm. So Tim Weah, Weston McKennie weren't there. But they've got another game against Switzerland, and then hopefully we show well at the Gold Cup. But these things do, in fairness, these things do matter because we don't have qualifiers.
Yeah.
So, but the question is, with these type of games, is it the result or is it, finding the talent? And obviously there were some bad mistakes in the bad line. My man Johnny Soccer had a terrible error. But did you guys catch the game and have any opinions? I was at your favorite bar, O'Hanlon's, watching by myself, drinking some vino.
TC, you want to start?
Look, I think what I did see is I saw the fast-paced start, I think, which was great. I think we had a heavily based MLS starting side, which I think you said a PJ building for the future. This is a team that you said was pretty much on par with Brazil and Spain a couple of months ago, if I'm not mistaken. But there were notable absences, let's be honest, like starters. There were absences like Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie. We didn't have, you were missing some key defenders, Anthony Robertson, Matt Turner isn't in the squad anymore. So I think it's a rotating jigsaw piece, These are part of the times. I think what you do have is a good coach, and what he's trying to do is see who's got there. What I wanted to touch on is at the end of the League of Nations match between Portugal and Spain, Landon Donovan was one of the commentators, and he was saying, because through the emotion he saw, he was saying how that should be cut, pasted, videoed, and sent to the American USA team about how they don't have heart at the moment, how they're not trying enough, how they don't have enough of that playing for the jersey. And he kept reiterating it as the main focal point post the League of Nations while they're watching. And it struck me quite heavily because he was so adamant that this was one of the main reasons that USA are just not there, because they don't have the heart. And he was saying, look at Cristiano, he's 40 years old. He's crying. He's won everything. He's got millions in the bank, and he's still crying for this small trophy over here. USA, this is what we need. We need players like this. PJ and Eric, is this a feeling felt amongst like the Americans, the rest of us, like that the team has no soul and the players don't care?
Yeah, I think people definitely feel that way, and I can understand the frustration because we have done decently in big tournaments like the World Cup with much less talent, so I get why people are pissed. I think one of the problems, some pundit, Max Bredos or someone brought it up, and I think it was a good point, is there are very few players on the U.S. men's national team that are leaders on their team. Yeah. Christian Pulisic's a great player at AC Milan. He's not a leader at Milan. Like, we had these MLS players before who might have been less talented, but they were the captains of their team. They're the leaders of their team. So we need a great leader. Tyler Adams might be that person. But I think, we need a good coach, but there needs to be the on-field leadership. Who's going to be that guy and step up? I don't know, maybe Weston McKennie. He's a co-captain at Juventus, but I haven't really seen someone step up and just yell at everyone. There's no Clint Dempsey, who's just no nonsense, no bullshit type player. So I think that's one problem that we have.
Yeah, my main problem, and we've discussed this a few times, we've gone so far leaning into the technical part of it, but we no longer have the grit. And I do love the fact that we do know how to do a 1-2. We do know how to create a triangle on the pitch, but as well, if we lose possession for some reason, we cannot gain it back. It does not look good. Or if we keep possession too long, we don't have any options or any thought to really create. So we're kind of just stuck in this middle zone. Right now, I'm really looking at Cardoso and I'm really looking at Tillman. Those two need to be our best people at all times when you're being called up, because we know you're going to be,
especially with the current team they have right now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you're going to be the future. You're going to if you're already counted on as being some of the best players on the B or C squad, you have to step up. Nobody's answering that call for the U.S. men's national team. It is very scary to see because we've always had so many people try to answer that call in the past. Christian Pulisic, even though he was being touted, he still wanted to answer the call. Now people are questioning him being able to take the reins or him being a vocal leader, things like that. But before, when he was first coming up, when he was still in that middling era of the other players that we really had, which we were looking at, he was still trying to become like he was still
Yeah.
that emerging star. He still had that hunger. Landon Donovan, he'll always talk about it because he is Mr. U.S. men's national team. He really did start it all for how we play over in the U.S. And then Clint Dempsey, as you said, PJ, that man, he's done it all before. I was listening to Michael Richards talk about like the first time he played against Fulham, and he was just like, "You don't know where I'm from, man." And he was talking
No,
about
I'm from dog.
be from the streets of Texas, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, okay, like, yeah, you used to have those types of personalities. Now it's kind of been kind of trained out the game. Like you don't have players that have that hunger anymore, and so yeah, it's something to really watch for, especially how youth soccer is kind of growing up within the U.S. as well. We're seeing kind of the full cycle of it within our lifetime. Like it's been growing in the country, especially since PJ and I used to work in it. We've seen the growth in the MLS leagues. We've now seen how youth clubs travel, things like that. And that changes probably the perspective of how the players come up. It's a little bit more arrogant, if I want to say, from the
Maybe.
players.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to have to figure something out. And I'm also going to have to look at Pochettino, too, because losing 3 matches, 1 to 2 is okay. Like, you're still getting to learn the squads that you have, who you have access to. But the third, look, for
Let's
the
take
US,
a deeper dive after the Gold Cup.
yeah.
This is Rich coming from an Arsenal fan going, I don't know what to do after 3 losses. Because, mate, you just...
U.S. men's national team is completely different than a club team. You know,
No.
nah,
Football, no. Come on now. We just talking about how this team is in development. The last coach got fired because how many did he lose in a row? This man is trying to save. The man is trying to do things, man. He's going to get in. The team he's inherited is dog shit.
No, the last coach was not that good.
So okay, that was the coach's fault. So it's something here or there. That's what I'm starting to get.
Long discussion. Yeah.
Exactly. The point is, boys, is what I'm saying is you got to give the guy time. Unfortunately, you think it's 3 matches, but how much time does a coach really have time with his squad? You're saying this, but like he's played 3 matches. Come on, he needs to be in situations. You need to find out who's got the medal. You're trying to say we don't know. He needs to find out, and that's what he's trying to do. So don't give a gentleman a job and then say after 3 matches, I don't know, because anyone can tell you it's fucking difficult. You need to know what kind of players you have in different situations, in my opinion. I'm only saying this from my opinion because, in my opinion, you need to know who is there to play for the Badge, right? Now you know at times you're winning 1-0. It's great. Who's cool? When it's 2-1, who faded? Great. This asshole faded. Great. Now you know what I mean? And it's going to take some time. PJ named it. Maybe they're working towards goals such as the Gold Cup. Maybe they're working towards the CONCACAF Cup. You know, let's not let the interference from like a bias from like, you know what I mean? Like I said, you know, I feel that like 3 matches of losses for the USA is not detrimental. I mean, let's be serious. It's not detrimental.
I'm only saying to look at Pochettino now just because if we do need to make a change after the Gold Cup, like I'm not saying look at him as a detriment. Like you have to start looking at the performances on the field. And some of these performances, it's just not been good enough from a U.S. men's national team perspective. As a fan of the U.S. men's national team, it hasn't been good. We know that we're supposed to dominate within the CONCACAF. Canada, as well as Mexico, they have made strides. When we started this podcast, Mexico was in the dumps, and they've already decided to turn it around. Canada, they've been steadily getting better. They have some very good talismans on their team. Marsh, who I think should have gotten the U.S. men's national team job, they dilly-dally too long at the Federation, and Marsh went to Canada. You saw exactly what you were supposed to get out of them. They made it all the way to the semifinals, I want to say, against Argentina way back when we were doing when we were doing that. that tournament. And so I was just like, look, you can look at the manager. We'll give him after the Gold Cup. But right now, as a fan of somebody who I want to go to some World Cup matches, I want to support my country. Even in the weird place that we're in right now, I would still like to support my country. And I'm just not exactly happy with the results so far. But
No,
I'll
that
give it
makes
a little
sense.
bit more time. That's all.
Gold Cup's a week away. Let's see what happens. So we'll have a lot of talking points. Randomest fact ever, though. Did you know Landon Donovan is the co-leader in assists internationally with Lionel Messi?
I had no idea about that.
Yeah. Cristiano Ronaldo,
but that's ridiculous.
Zidane, he is the co-leader in assists. So maybe he has a point. I don't know. Crazy. It's an absurd statistic. I know it's because he got to beat off on St. Kitts and Nevis in random games, but still pretty impressive. We can move on, but shout out to my man Landon.
He's got the leading assists in international football.
Yeah, him and Messi are tied at 58. Messi will probably beat him, but he's still.
Was that before they were taking stats in Pele's day, or what?
That's just what the internet be telling me.
Got you.
Listen, you need to get your sources off, not from the Burger King website.
Waz, glad you can join us. I wanted to see.
I'm back.
We're just finishing up on the U.S. men's national team conversation. They just lost to Turkey over the weekend, 2-1. That last goal that they gave up was just horrendous, and the U.S. men's national team never came back. So the conversation really steered towards, like, what are you looking for coming out of what's going on with the men's national team? Pochettino, is he the guy right now? PJ's saying to wait until after the Gold Cup. I'm saying to look and examine a little bit harder. TC is saying, hey, you're taking up, you're saying like, whoa, this is too soon. So where are you at in the spectrum?
I think we have to look at Gold Cup. I think we have to look at the standard of Gold Cup. But I just saw in the news today that some of the players are not going to be playing in Gold Cup. They said they want to rest. So I'm pretty shocked at that. I'm not a fan of star players for national teams, opting out of competitions as such, especially one as big as the Gold Cup. So I'm not a fan of that. But I think we have to assess this. Look, 2026 is around the corner.
Yep.
If Team USA does not have their shit together by Gold Cup, well then what are we talking about? Like you said, I want to go also as a half American. I want to watch my guys. Half my guys. I want to see some victories, man. I want to see some good play. But like you said, I mean, the U.S. team has just been crapola. It's not been great. It's been worse than great. It's been shit-tastic, I think is the word. And everyone thought that Poch was going to be the great savior, and maybe he still can be. We've got time before June of next year. But Gold Cup, this is when he was supposed to at least lay down the gauntlet for the U.S. men's team, especially after what Mexico and Canada just did, and even countries like Panama. So this is not the competition for you to be in, like, for players, not even Poch, for the players to be like, you know what, I'm good. I'm not going to play. Who the hell do you think if you're not going to play in Gold Cup, do you think you deserve to play in the World Cup? Yeah. I don't think so.
Completely agree with you there. That is something definitely to look out for. So, no, I would love to hear from our listeners. What do they think about these tournament results, these friendly results? Do they still think Pochettino is the guy moving forward? Love to hear all of our listeners' thoughts. All right, let's wanted to turn it over into our next topic, which is going to be discussing about this top three players right now. We had touched on it last week with TC and Dinesh, but want to get you guys' opinions. Seems though we have a little bit broader of a spectrum of watchers here. So, Waj, I'll start with you. Now, Dembélé so far has been seen as the now new incumbent for the Ballon d'Or.
Yes.
You still have Lamine Yamal's prowess, how he did within the matches all up of last year. Is there any other front runner or dark horse that you're seeing, or top three so far? List it out.
No, I'm going straight. I'm putting all my chips are going behind Dembélé.
Okay. For
my own selfish reasons as well. I mean, look, he took us apart, unfortunately, for Arsenal. But he's just watching his career over the years and seeing how this season's particularly has been. It's been ridiculous, and I mean, just the way that he's scoring, his assist work. I mean, just everything. He's a talisman for France, and honestly, I feel bad for Mbappe because Mbappe went all the way to Madrid to win a whole lot of nada, and your teammates have now won the whole goddamn thing. Yeah. So, but selfishly, I want Dembélé to win the Ballon d'Or because he would be the only second African player to win the Ballon d'Or after George Weah. So for me, that's like selfishly, that's what I want. But honestly, I think just his performance and what he's come back from is speaks mountains. It's a testament to his prowess and what he's going to do for Paris. Lamine Yamal, been fantastic, absolutely fantastic player. Does he deserve the Ballon d'Or this year? No, I don't think so. I'm sorry. He's the skill is ridiculous. Let's not take anything away from the kid, but no, not this year, my friend. And then who else? Who was the third person you guys were?
Mohamed Salah.
What do you think?
Salah just did so fucking good this year. Yeah, it's actually almost unfair that he didn't walk away with any type of silverware. With no silverware, but the League Cup.
Yeah, he did win.
Sorry, I'm on a different time zone over here. If there's a year to give it to Salah, it would be this year. His assists were insane. His goals were insane. Well, over 35 goals in regular season. It's just
20 goals and 8 assists.
Thank you, TC. He just did insane. So if it's not going to be Dembélé, then I want it to be my North African pharaoh, Mo Salah.
Okay.
You know what, Waj, for having the shiniest head on the internet today, you don't spew the most shit. I have to agree with a number of things that you said, unfortunately.
Ronaldo.
Finally.
Because your bias sometimes comes out of a place that I can only assume the Vaseline that you pour in that forehead does.
It's coconut oil.
Even better. I need to get some of that. Anyway, so I think you hit the nail on the head. I agree with everything you said in terms of Dembélé won the treble. People, we need to start acknowledging the fucking, how hard it is to win anything, let alone the treble. It is in the Farmers League, as we keep trying not to say. We're not allowed to say anymore because it is a very competitive league these days, to be fair. And then the 2 cups in there, very difficult. So he won the treble. He played expertly. He scored 33 goals, okay? If I'm not mistaken, 33 goals and 15 assists across that. So he's done exceptionally fucking well. Lamine Yamal is 17, chaps. This kid is dynamite. No doubt about that. Has he won? Has he done enough? I think, to Raj's point, he has not towards the end of the season. He had flashes in the end of the season, which is why we're talking about it now. He's definitely in the conversation. We're all talking about the kid. Is he going to be? No, not this year. Okay. Mohamed Salah. Why do people buy Mercedes Benzes? Why? They want consistent fucking performance. And I hate to say it. This guy's consistent performance. 20 goals every season at least. Buys you 20 goals. And not just taps. Talking about, I hate Liverpool, but I have to admire him. So it's hard. I would absolutely put him in front of Lamine, to be fair, and I'd say those are the top 3. But I go Dembélé, Salah, and Yamal, Lamine Yamal, like that in that sense. I think other notable mentions are, yes, Kylian Mbappe. You spoke about him. He scored the most goals in Spain, and he did win something, the Khvicha, whatever it is, the golden boot there. But unfortunately, no team honors, and it's a team game, so we know what they faulted there. I think what you saw was a slow start and them having to build to get used to it. The problem with someone so there's that. And then there's other 1 or 2 other players that we want to mention that I would kind of be like, yeah, they're up there, but they weren't those 3.
One of my favorites actually for this year, and he's not going to get it, but just, special mention is Doué. out of PSG as well. I mean, again, another child, what, 15 goals, 16 assists, won the Champions League. He's won the triple as well. He's a child. And the goals this kid was scoring were phenomenal. So he gets one of my supporters awards as well as Rafinha. Did absolutely phenomenal this year as well.
So my pick is a considerable weird one, but hear me out. Kvaratskhelia. Now he has a
Say his name 3 times and then we can.
Kvaratskhelia. I can't do the third. I'm right next to a mirror. That thing is gonna break. But the Georgian man, he was able to win with Italy because he did play half the season over in Serie A with Napoli, so he does have a winner's medal from them from winning Serie A this past year. He came and instantly transformed PSG.
So this man won 2 national titles.
He won 2
Yes,
titles.
PSG. And
he won a quadruple. He won a
quadruple.
Won the Champions League, Serie A, and the Coupe de France.
Yep. And I would say without him going in January to PSG does not win this Champions League. Because I remember where they were in October, November. That team looked
when we beat them.
lost. Yeah, we beat them. But even out of that, they still had to claw their way back into the Champions League. The last matches of that group stage of that large group season, and then as well they defeated Man City to make sure that they stayed within the last 24 spots. And then from there they just went on a tear. Liverpool, who was their second matchup against? It was Liverpool, Aston Villa, and then Arsenal, and then they demolished Inter to the final.
So, one player, you say?
That's the.
I don't know what player. Where those numbers as Mbappe, you say change their whole fortune essentially. Not forgetting we just mentioned too their wings. So I hear you, great player, absolutely what I believe. I don't believe that. I believe they could have gone just as far. Barcola and Doué, great wings. Because they substitute them, you know what I mean. So I hear what you're saying, but like they lost Mbappe, and people are like, "Oh, it's the end of it." Now you're saying, "No, this guy was actually the Mbappe they needed because he's the one who changed their fortune. He was actually the Mbappe. He was the Mbappe that they needed because he gave them the treble." That's what you basically said. No. Let me go back to your words, my little friend. Comment down there, my little Arsenal backtracker. You said, and I quote. Without them, I don't think they would have won, is what you said. Basically, he is the Mbappe they needed. Mbappe was there to win them. You're basically saying this Georgian Wonder Bread, who they eat bread and cheese by the thousands, went over there and changed their whole fortune, which I kind of agree with in terms of he's great. He changed their team. I would take him right now, take my left hand to take him. So I believe you on that. I think what we were talking about last week, if you remember, was that PSG have quietly been building a squad. That we were quietly talking about a number of their players for Portugal, that are like pieces in this masterpiece of a team. So even without your players, that what I'm saying is that they're quietly building one of the most jealous squads. I hear you. I'm just disagreeing on the one point that I think they might have made it this season even without him. I think because of who they had and the way they were playing towards the end, like we were talking about Dembélé being the Ballon d'Or guy. You only need one player there. Barcola. Who else did you mention there, my little bald-headed friend? Doué. You know what I mean? Which leads me back to the next question, which we'll get back to after let you ask these questions. Is you mentioned something very interesting about Doué being mentioned there. The top 3, I know I'm going only back to this, the top 3 young players. Doué is on that list, so is Lamine. Who would be your other third one based off that? And I only want to go back to that so we can round this conversation out.
No, for young player, I would probably say Nico Williams just because of all the things that he was able to do. But absolutely. Let me finish my list and why I'm saying Kvaratskhelia. He should be thrown in there. Mo Salah, Dembélé, and Kvaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia literally has 4 medals to himself this year. So he was able to win, and he was able to win on the biggest stage in Europe. Georgia is not the biggest squad on the international stage, so he's already going to be a little bit behind there. But he still shows a lot within the club games that he was able to play. And I'll give him the nod for that. Dembélé, we saw the change in the new year once Dembélé got healthy. He was able to play a full season this year. He had some niggling injuries, but he was able to make it through. But I would still give it like him and Salah are going to have a very tough battle solely because Salah was able to do it in the Premier League as well as his exploits over for during AFCON matches with Egypt. So we'll see there. I mean, Dembélé with France this past UEFA Nations League semifinal did not do as well. We saw some things that are going on with Manchester City's new guy Ryan Shirky came on and just completely changed that match. But yeah, those would be my three this year with a little sneaky Donnarumma in there. And I kind of want to let PJ jump in this one to kind of round this out really quick.
Yeah, I mean, I like TC's picks. I just think that, like, we're, even though we've been talking about Mo Salah, I think we're actually underrating him. I think part of that is just because he doesn't play for a big national team. This guy, I know you guys are Arsenal fans, but this guy dominated the EPL. He led the EPL in goals. It wasn't close. He led the EPL assists. It wasn't close. He had 1.5 times more assists than the next closest player. Liverpool won the league, and it wasn't close. That alone is too much to me. Lamar will collect many trophies. We don't know how many Ballon d'Ors, but it's not his time yet. Mo Salah, it's got to be him. He just doesn't play for what's a big national team, so we kind of underrate his season. But he was so dominant. So I just want to shout him out. I think he is the only person you can say that is an absolute lock.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, TC, Waj, I'll leave the floor to kind of round out this convo.
I was going to round it out just by purely saying, let's leave the men away for a second. Women's Ballon d'Or. Do we have any power ranking for the women's Ballon d'Or? See you sexist sons of bitches.
I think it's you.
No, it's coming. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
I think. Well, I mean, again, I feel out of selfishness. It's Caldenti, but I think she's like number 4 or 3 for the power rankings, and like Barcelona with Alexa Putellas is going to probably take it. But this has been a fantastic year. Obviously I've been gone. I've been missing you guys, but I got to watch the women play the Champions League final in Lisbon last month, and man, chaps, you don't even know what you guys are missing. We need to get on this. You're bad men. You're bad allies.
Is it? Look. I as someone who follows, I support my Manchester females. Is it like watching Angel Reese play basketball, or is it like real football?
Oh, no.
Oh boy!
No.
And I'm out.
And that is not what we're doing here. We are not bashing. We are not
right.
bashing. Okay, our
I'm not
final.
Yeah, right. I was like,
I don't know where we go from there. Our final topic, though, we're going to talk about the Club World Cup. We got to talk about it just because it's coming to the States, starting up this upcoming this weekend. I'm going to a match on Juneteenth. That'll be a really great one. Al Hilal versus Palmeiras. I'm very excited for that atmosphere. You got Egyptian and Brazilian happening in New Jersey, where Brazil has a very strong community over in New Jersey, and the Egyptian community coming over from Queens most likely is going to just go rock the boat. So I'm very excited for that match. Any matchups that you guys are looking forward to watching, anything that you kind of want to see specifically with the different styles with all the different countries? Waj, I'll start with you.
So the first thing is actually the Al Alhimax and Inter Miami. I think that one's going to be just interesting just to see Miami versus Egypt. But I mean, the best match to me is probably going to be PSG versus Atletico. But to be quite honest, I don't really care about those matches. It's the other ones where it's completely across, with this massive dichotomy. So Palmeiras Porto, I think that one is going to be just dope. I mean, that's Portugal versus Brazil. Go Palmeiras all the way. What else? Oh, Boca Juniors Benfica. That one is just going to be just dope, just for the atmosphere, I think. And those are kind of like my main two. And then also, I mean, just because we have to do it, TC probably is going to say nothing but Ulsan versus Mamelodi Sundowns. Come on.
That'll be definitely a good matchup. First started match day. That would be a really good one to see. TC,
But I was going to say just really quickly, Al Hilal versus Real Madrid on the 18th, but no Ronaldo. So
why not?
Yeah, Ronaldo said that he's not going to be joining this tournament. There had been a rumor that Infantino was trying to figure out a way to make sure to shoehorn him in. He even created this whole rule where he said you could sign players solely for a tournament. So let's say you wanted like Mo Salah to come play for Leon from Mexico. It would
Seattle
have been
sounds.
so
Look, as much as that sounds great, I think we come back to this question is that how many matches are our players playing? Okay, again, we're now going into like dudes have hit now like 60, 70 matches, some players, and then they're going back to their clubs after playing with the internationals to go play with it. So I understand why players are taking the break out. You've got families, you've got body strength. You want a long. You know how Ronaldo's playing 40 until he's 40 years old. The dude is now injured. Now he's not going to play for the next month and a half, 2 months, depending on how long his injury is. He's going to go into recovery because essentially, gents, if you keep your engine running all day, every day, what happens to your fucking engine? Come on. And I think what we're seeing here is just FIFA just taking the piss because these guys are literally going to go from the Club World Cup, 2-week break. Yes, their clubs are going to get an extended break, but it's not going to be a full break. I'm grateful for players who aren't playing in this, who didn't have to play in the friggin' league, or they did play internationals, who might have been injured because they get to have a full break. And I'm worried for their player welfare. And that's like, I'm great. The games are coming back, but they should have been playing now, and not between the league. They should have been league and choice now. Now, additionally, this is another tournament, which is just for me, it's very detrimental, and it worries me for some of your top players. Some of your top players are played finals and finals and finals. You will see, and you know what's next year?
Well, we'll be seeing a lot more of the kids playing, definitely for these European squads. You'll see some players mixed in.
Yeah, you're right.
You'll see a lot of the new transfers. If there are any new transfers coming through, you'll see some of those happen. So I'm excited for the fact that some of these European teams are going to be playing teams. I'm also extremely excited some of these other squads are going to be playing against some of these large teams because you don't really get that much time, or
Never.
some of these scouts might not receive, and you now get a chance to get scouted by an international community. It's no longer just going to be on paper. Like some people actually now have time to go see Auckland City FC in the flesh and blood for the first time. Peach.
I got 2 quick points. I don't know if you touched on this last week. One, the last play-in game. I watched every minute of that. That was a badass game. LAFC versus America. That was a $10 million game. Yeah. LAFC went down. Then my man Denny Bouanga had a beautiful assist. And then they brought in Olivier Giroud. He had a nice layoff. They scored with 116th minute. That's huge. So they got that money, and then they can compete for more money. LAFC's got some interesting players. They have Giroud. They have Hugo Lloris, the French legend. So something to watch out for. But I'm going to put it on you guys because if we don't meet again until next Monday, we didn't do a full prediction. We only did a group prediction. So let's just go who's taking it all. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. One team.
Cool, one team. I will go for. It's very difficult, but I'll go for Bayern Munich. I think they've got the depth, especially to do that.
I am gonna go between.
One team.
Yeah, I can pick one. I mean, I think it's. Guys, honestly, I really don't know. I mean, I want to say it's probably gonna honestly be. I gotta say Bayern.
Okay, PJ.
This is a crazy one, but I feel like Inter Milan is so ashamed with their performance in the Champions League that they're gonna bust ass. You know, a lot of teams that do well, like PSG, they might not go all in. So I'm gonna go with a sneaky one with Inter Milan. I think some of the Brazilian squads can go far because they will definitely bring their A teams and they will bring their fans.
Okay. I would have said Al Hilal. They just got Filippo Inzaghi. Supposedly they
to win it.
Yeah, they were supposed to get like 4 European players like signed off, and everybody just turned them down now. So
just for this tournament.
they had a lot of things lined up, and everybody said no last week. So I'll give it to Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea is looking really strong going into this new year. Um, I Y'all know how much I love the Urara Red Dragons. I've been talking them up every time. But Chelsea, they got a really strong squad. PSG, they're going to play a bunch of their kids, let a lot of their senior team members rest. So I don't feel as though
Yeah,
they'll make it. So yeah, I'll
I
give it
agree.
to Chelsea. All right. Well, yeah, want to give everybody thanks for giving us a listen live this Monday. It's Dem Boys Watch Footy. We got your boy TC, we got PJ, we got Waj, you got your boy E. Thank y'all. Have a great one.
Ciao.